So, Vim. Yeah, so how many of you have gotten into Vim and then you couldn't get back out?
Never stopped using it.
Yeah, so you just stay in there. That's why you learn Vim. It's because you can't actually leave Vim. Anybody scared of Vim? Dave's scared of Vim. All right. So what I'm going to try and do, we'll see if this works better than last time. All right, it does. Cool. So don't worry about Vim. It's going to be okay. We're going to go through this all together, nice and slow. Basic stuff. How do you get into Vim? Well, you type Vim and then the file you want to open. So if you're using gvim or macvim or whatever other kinds of Vim there are, you may have to change this so you don't type Vim. You actually type like gvim or something. But for me, it's just Vim. And if you got the repo that I had listed, inside that there's a file .vimrc. That file controls how Vim works and looks for you. If you're using that, your Vim will look exactly like this. You just put it into your home folder. Don't worry about that for right now, though. I just want you to know, if you like the way mine looks, which is really super simple, that one will give you a really super simple one. All right, so you type Vim and a file name gets you into Vim. So the next thing you need to know is how to get out of Vim. So, because you don't want to get stuck. So you type colon, and you see how my little thing right down there in the corner, the colon. Let's see if I can zoom in. There we go. You get a little colon, and then Q. Hey, look, I'm out of Vim. Woo! Yeah, we're out of Vim. All right, so here's the other thing that often happens, though. You get into Vim, you start hitting keys, and you do something. You somehow manage to get back to where you can type the colon. You do the Q, and it's like, oh no, you didn't write since the last time you changed something. So if you read that, what I'm going to show you isn't a surprise. So you type colon, where's my colon? Q bang, which just means get me out of there, ignore it. So those are your two like worst case scenarios. I can't get out of Vim, colon Q, or colon Q exclamation mark. All right, you can get in, you can get out. What if you're in Vim and you didn't open a file? So you just typed Vim, and you get this cool little thing here. And actually, I'll point this out. Vim.org, whatever it is, they actually do donate a bunch of money to people in Uganda, which is pretty awesome. So if you want to use Vim and you want to support them, they help out people, which is cool. Okay, so you're in Vim, you didn't open a file, you need to open a file, colon again, woo, E, and then you just type in the file you want. So if it's another directory, you type in the path to that directory. If it's just a file like file.txt, okay, now I'm in file.txt, see? All right. You won't do that a ton. And the last one is writing a file. So let's go back to our file.txt. I actually like things. So I've got my file, and I want to save my file. So colon W means write. Remember how it said no write since last edit or whatever? Or since last save? Colon W means write. All right. W for write. Colon S for save would be a lot cooler, but that didn't make sense when Vim was created. Okay. So you can get in, you can get out, you can open a file, you can save things. Now let's talk about actually using Vim. So the things I'm going to show you are ways to move around in a file in Vim, which, by the way, let me get over to that one. But I'd like you to think about these as being nouns, because you can actually talk to Vim. You can tell Vim what to do with English, sort of. Okay, so H, J, K, and L, you've got those on your home row. If you type QWERTY, I don't, so I don't. Those are right under your hand. H moves you left, J moves you down, K moves you up, and L moves you right. But you can just use the arrow keys if you want, which is what I do all the time. So your choice, H, J, K, L to move around, or arrow keys. All right? So why HJKL? I forgot to put a picture in, but if you ever look up the keyboard that Vim was actually created on, there were no arrow keys. So they didn't have that choice. All right. So these are kind of cool. F and uppercase F let you move forward or backward. So I've got this 4 score. I want to move over to that S. So, oh, sorry, let me turn this on. FS. Hey, I moved to the S. FS again, I moved to the next S. Capital F, E, moves me back to the E. All right? Lowercase f, move forward. Uppercase F, move backward. These are going to be a lot more useful in a moment, but knowing how to get around is really handy. That's going to be annoying. Okay. T works the same way. But instead of going, so like when I did FS, I went onto the S. TY takes me right up to the Y. I don't know why they did T. I honestly don't. But F will put you onto the character you're looking for. T takes you right up to the character that you're looking for. Okay? Cap T works the same way, but again, going backwards. All right? All right. Anybody completely lost at this point? Yeah? Okay, what part? The F? The T? The arrow keys? Okay, we'll keep going for just a little bit. I promise it all starts to make more sense when you can use sentences. Okay. W, B, and E. I won't even demonstrate all of these. These move you between words. If you're on a word, you hit W, you go to the next word. You hit B, you go to the beginning of the word that was behind you or that you're currently on. E takes you to the end. So W for word, B for beginning, E for end. Kind of mnemonic. All right. This one's a little weird, but 0. Let's look at this one. Let's come way down here. Okay, here we go. Let that go away. Okay. 0 takes me to the far left. All right. If we think about like if our line was an array. Yeah?
How come doing all those things isn't just typing those things?
We'll get to that in just a moment. That's a big part of Vim.
Because on my screen it's doing all sorts of crazy things.
Yeah. It shouldn't be doing anything. Just keep hitting escape. That's general Vim. Vim's like not working right. Just bang on escape until it starts working right, and then remember what you were trying to do. Okay, so 0 goes all the way to the beginning of the line, to the far left. Underscore will take you to the first character on the line, which instead of showing underscore, it shows you shift hyphen. And then $sign will take you to the last character. So if you've done... All right, so $sign is the only one of those that makes sense. Anyway, like I said, sentences will make these all work better. I don't have a good mnemonic for remembering these. I'm sorry. 2 G's takes you to the top of the file, and a capital G takes you to the bottom of the file. You just kind of start to memorize those two. And this one's weird, but it's fun. Curly braces that take you to the beginning or end of a paragraph. So let's... All right. I'm here in the middle of this paragraph, yeah? So if I go curly brace, open curly brace, I go to the top of the paragraph. Bottom one goes to the bottom of the paragraph. Here's the cool thing. Vim understands code to some degree. So I'm in my class. Yeah, in my class. I go before my class. I go after the main part of my class. So if I'm working with a bunch of functions in a file and I want to move around a function really quickly, Vim understands what I'm doing, moves between the functions. It's kind of cool. Okay. Now to get to your question. Modes. Escape? Yeah. Okay. So Vim is a modal editor, which means it has multiple modes in it. And you use these different modes depending on the thing you want to do. Okay? If I can remember correctly, we have normal, visual, insert, command, and EX mode, I think. We're only going to worry about 2, maybe 3 of those, because most of them you don't use. You already do this in every editor. Because if you think about it, you're sitting there, you're typing stuff out, right? Okay, that's insert mode as far as Vim's concerned. Then you pause and you start reading it. You're not doing anything. Or maybe you hold down Command or Control because you're going to enter in a command. That's effectively normal mode. You select something because you're going to delete it or replace it. That's visual mode. Your editor just doesn't enforce those, whereas Vim does. So, normal mode is your default mode. Okay? There's nothing listed. Where is my mouse cursor? I don't seem to have a mouse. There's nothing listed down in the corner. I'm in normal mode. Okay? You can always get back to normal mode by just banging on the escape key. Just hit it 100 times and you'll get back. This is the mode you want to be in 99% of the time because you're moving around files way more than you're typing or deleting or anything like that. Actually, you're going to delete normal mode, so. Okay. Insert mode is how you type. You push I, you go into insert mode, now you can type. So hit I. It now says insert down in the corner. I can type things. I hit escape, it no longer says insert, right? I went into insert mode, I did my thing, I came back out of insert mode. Because I don't want to spend time in insert mode, even though insert mode is my productive mode. Oh yeah, U undoes things, but we're not talking about that one tonight. Okay, and then visual mode is for selecting. You press, any guesses on what you do for visual mode? I is for insert. Any guesses for visual? V, hey, look at that. And then I can select things. They're selected. I can now do things with them. Okay. Now remember about the other modes. Okay, editing. Remember all the nouns that we talked about? We had moving, we had words, beginning, end, finding something, doing whatever. Okay, those are our nouns. These are our verbs. So D for delete. So, like I said, we're going to talk about making sentences of these. I don't like the word but in that sentence. So there's what my W does. So I'm going to do DW. Now the word's gone. Delete word. Right? Because W is word. Or, if I don't like anything on that line, I can do Shift D and it deletes the whole line. Does anybody remember the character that was the end of the line? $sign. Guess what happens when I do $? Deletes to the end of the line. Right? If I get halfway in here and I do D0, deletes all the way back. So you kind of start to learn these nouns of like where the positions are and then what my verbs are. So delete, or the other ones we're going to talk about. Okay, so that's deleting. You're going to do a lot of deleting because you always have way more code than you need, so you're going to get rid of it. X lets you delete a single character. So instead of doing like DL to delete left, because that's a lot of work, or sorry, delete right, you can do X, which just lets you get rid of characters one at a time. And then I can bring them back one at a time. Okay. Or if I don't want to get rid of the I, but I want to get rid of the space before it, I can do Shift X. You don't really do Shift X all that much, or at least I don't. Okay. We already talked about V, visual mode. The tilde is kind of cool. I want hallow to be capitalized. So tilde makes it, yeah, there we go. Capitalizes it. But if I want to capitalize the whole line, tilde $sign. Oh, sorry. V $sign, tilde. There we go. Visually select the end of the line, capitalize it all. So a lot of it's kind of building these sentences with Vim. I won't worry about that. S is kind of cool. I want to, so okay, if I do DW, I'm still in normal mode, right? Because I don't have insert down in the corner. So I can't type something. I get rid of that word, but I can't replace it. So I have to do DW and then push I to start typing. That's annoying. So I do SW. Oops, sorry. S doesn't do what I thought. I do S, it gets rid of the character under my cursor, and I can start typing in something new. All these slides are available, by the way, so you can go through them. A is kind of cool. If I do I, I'm typing before the H. Wow. Got way off on my keyboard. But if I do A, then I start typing after the H. Kind of just becomes a thing of where do I want to start typing? Before the character I'm on or after the character I'm on? That's what I was looking for. All right, there we go. So if I do DW, I'm in normal mode. I can't start typing. If I do CW, C for change, then I can immediately start typing. Put in something new. All right. So how are these useful? Let's look at some useful stuff here. So I'm in my class, and I realize those two things are completely useless. I don't want either of them. So I could do C curly brace, and now I can immediately start typing. I've replaced those. I've gotten rid of those things right away. I can immediately start typing and adding in new stuff. That's handy. Or, I don't like that line, so Shift D, that kind of stuff. Most of the time, that's where these things come in handy, is being able to combine a verb and a noun. Question?
So do you do all of your coding in Vim?
I did all my coding in Vim for a long, long time. I currently use Emacs, but it's set up exactly like Vim. So it has all of my Vim modes and everything in it, and I'd use all these same commands. I'm just not in Vim. And the only reason is because Vim is single-threaded, so it only does one thing at a time. So I have my Vim set up, not this one, but my normal Vim, to where when I save a file, it runs it through a syntax checker to make sure I didn't make any stupid mistakes. So I save, I wait for it to run through the syntax checker, I wait for it to update the interface telling me that everything's good or something's bad, and then I can type again. That's really annoying. Emacs, on the other hand, is multi-threaded. So I hit save, it spawns a new process that goes and validates my file, spawns another process to come tell me if the file is good or not, and I'm working the entire time. So yes, I do all my coding in Vim, but not in actual Vim.
Because I just went through a code school, boot camp thing, and they encourage us to use Sublime, so that's all I know, because that's all that's taught.
Sublime is great, and Sublime actually has a Vim mode. So if you like Sublime and you like the pretty colors of it and the mini browser and all the hints it gives you, because Sublime does an amazing amount of stuff out of the box, you can turn on, I don't know, Google will tell you. There's Vim plugins, and there's a Vim keys thing you can turn on by default, where you suddenly get the modes, the insert mode, the normal mode, and you get the W and C and all that kind of stuff. Most editors, when they have a Vim emulation mode, which is what that's usually called, they'll leave out some things in Vim that you won't miss unless you use them in Vim already. But most of them are pretty good. Sublime's is pretty good. Emacs is amazing. When you get to the larger IDEs like PyCharm and Xcode, stuff like that, those usually aren't as good, simply because there's so many more things going on. But if you're using those, you probably don't care about them. So you'll also, the more you use Vim, you'll start finding yourself hitting escape when you're on the forms, like on a website all the time, and then suddenly you can't type anymore because that takes you out of the form. That's a lot of fun. So O works like I or A, where we're going suddenly into an insert mode, but O does brand new lines. So I can do a line below where I'm at or a line above where I'm at. I need to add something somewhere. Here's one that's magic. And I love magic. Okay, so my name is the first thing in my list there, right? It says Kenneth Love. I want to change my name. I don't care about that. CI quote. Hey, where'd my name go? So I stands for inside, right? So change inside of something. Let's undo that. Let's go down here. Maybe my class doesn't actually inherit from model. CI parentheses. No? There it is. CI parentheses, suddenly now there's nothing inside the parentheses. So that's just I for inside. But maybe I'm like, hey, my class doesn't need to inherit from anything. It can just be its own class. DA parentheses. Delete around the parentheses. Those two little tricks right there save you so much time. Because then you can just copy a line that has quoted strings and then just go change the strings one at a time instead of having to type in the quote marks and hit tab and all that stuff. Because really, who has time to type quote marks? I mean, shift and a quote sign, that's just ridiculous. Okay, so I and A. Those work as well with... Oh, does it not? It should. Okay, now I feel dumb. I thought they worked with the paragraph thing, but I guess they don't. Maybe that's a plugin that makes them work that way. I don't know. We're not talking about plugins tonight. Believe me, that is a rabbit hole I'm not going to ever do a talk about. Vim's been around for 30-ish years, 40-ish, I want to say. I mean, it was written before we had arrow keys on keyboards. So the amount of customization that Vim can do, and Emacs, is way beyond any talk we will ever do at Treehouse. Okay, so you've been doing all this stuff, right? You've been changing what's inside of here to foo, because that's just the way you are. You want to do it again, so you can press dot. And that just repeats the last thing you did, the last action that you did. It doesn't repeat everything, so you'll occasionally find things that dot doesn't repeat. But for the most part, dot repeats the last action you did. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. But if it's bad, you hit U to undo it. Yeah. So that was a lot of stuff. Let's explore and play a little bit. Okay. There's a problem with this sentence. I don't know how many of you know American history, but Lincoln didn't say anything about Pascal O'Neill bringing forth anything on our continent. So I want to get rid of Pascal O'Neill. So how would I get over to the P? F and then capital P. All right. And then, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So I want to get rid of those. As Vim sees them, I've got one word there, 2, 3, 4 words, right? C4W. Because we can put moderators in. We can give counts. I want to delete the next 5 words. D5W. You're making sentences. Delete 5 words. Change 5 letters. Down 5 lines. Stuff like that. I think that's the phrase. It's been a while. All right, so yeah, let's see. If I do 5J, that moves me down 5 lines. Okay, again, it's 5 down. I'm telling them sentences. I'm giving them commands just by typing in my letters on my keyboard.
Would the down arrow work as well as the...
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Sometimes you'll get weird things like you notice that it went to that line, so it went all the way over. Vim doesn't have this idea of like that line having space where I can just put things out there. So you'll occasionally get stuff like that where it seems to jump around a lot. But yeah, it'll work. And you can, of course, do like 5... Oops, I can't do it there. There we go. 5 left, 5 right, that kind of stuff. Generally, though, unless you're really, really good at counting, using Word and B and E is a lot faster. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, you just really move around a lot. If this is interesting to you, and you're like, I need to know more, then I'm going to get out of here. Go into your terminal and type in Vim tutor, not Vim tumor, as I almost typed. And Vim tutor will put you into Vim, and it has an entire interactive tutorial. This often takes you a bit farther into, I wonder how to do that, than I wanted to go into tonight, because there's literally so much stuff in Vim. But this is a great way. You get to play around with Vim. It walks you through everything. It's awesome. If you do decide, that you should have customized Vim, there's a lot out there. Set aside like a week, figure out how to customize Vim. play with the plugins. You can ask my friend Chris every time he finds a new plugin. It's about a day's worth of just messing around with it, how to make this work like I want. It's awesome. It's the best way to play with Vim. So, questions about Vim? Yes?
You search and jumping between search results as well as doing substitution.
I can show you how to do search and jumping between search results and probably substitution. It's been a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about search. How many of you are familiar with regular expressions? We're not doing those tonight. Okay, in a lot of languages, regex start with a /. In Vim, they start with a /. So I'm searching for 7, and it highlights it for me. So that's cool. What? /? Let's find a word that's going to exist multiple times, like and. Okay, there's all the ands. And I can push in to go to the next one, and shift in to go to the previous one. In for next. Yeah? You can use these with like all of your other commands too. So I can be like d/and, and it deletes up to the and. Yep. So d/and deletes up to the and. So it deletes until it finds that pattern. Not something you're going to do all the time, but it is handy. So substitution, you're talking about like :s. Okay, so :s stands for search. Like I said, it's been a little while, so if I get it wrong, tell me. So I'm going to replace the ands and put in ampersands. So :s for search. There's my mouse. Oh yeah, I want to do percent because that's document. Okay, colon is a command, yeah? Percent is this document. S is search. /and is and. /ampersand is what to replace and with. And then I want to do G for everywhere in the file. All right. And we were supposed to have gotten 7 substitutions, but I'm not seeing it.
Need the G at the front. Ampersand is a special character. It means the thing that you search for.
Oh, that's right. Freaking regex. Okay, there. Now we have ampersands all over. I just did a course on regex, and I hate regex. So, it's a good course, though. You should all go learn regex. So anyway, we can do these kinds of searches to find things and replace them with something else if we know what we want. It is a full regular expression engine, so if you are a regex wizard and you want to do crazy search ahead or look aheads, look behinds, replace with groups, all that stuff, Vim's happy to let you do it. So have fun with that one. Yeah, you can ask Nate over there or Nathan over there for help. Yes.
I'm sorry, and maybe others have this, but you guys went so fast and I wasn't part of
Yeah.
the game. The %s, that whole, how did you correct that?
Okay. So
You went so fast.
yeah, no, okay. So anytime I'm in normal mode and I type a colon, get that down there so it's a little easier to see. Sorry, that's in the corner. Anytime I type a colon, that lets me give a command to them. So like W for write or Q for quit, right? So what I want to do is I want to tell Vim to search this document. So the way I do that is anytime I use %sign like that, that stands for this document. So the stuff it currently has shown in this, I don't want to use the Vim word buffer, but buffer. Because buffers and windows and files aren't all the same thing, but you'll get to that way later when you learn more about Vim. So everything in this file, I want to do a search. All right, so S stands for search. Or you really can think of S as standing for substitute. It's probably a better idea. So what do I want to substitute? Now I have to start typing my regular expression. So /and is what I'm looking for. Or rather, and is. The slash says we're starting a regex. I'm going to replace that. Let's not do an ampersand. Let's just do the word or. We're going to sub the word and for the word or. because that won't make sentences weird at all. Let's do but. That'll be funnier. So we're changing and to but. And then since I want to do it everywhere in the file, not just the first time, I have to say G for global. That should be all I need. It is. And so now if I search for but, there's all the buts. There are more buts than there were ands because there were some buts already there. Say what? A good Dave McFarl butt. Hey! All right. Now I'm regretting doing but with one T. So yeah, if anybody wants to teach iOS, Java, or .NET, we're hiring, and it's like this all day. So anyway, does that explain it a little better? Yeah. You know, it took me a long time to even figure out how that worked, so don't worry about it. Any other Vim tricks or whatever? Yes?
I think you've been using it, but undo, and then the things I use most are copy and paste.
Yeah, so U undoes the last thing you did. It can go back multiple times. I'm now forgetting how to redo, but I think it's Shift. Yeah, it's Control R, because that makes sense. Control R for redo. So copy and paste. Copying in Vim is a little weird, but it's not too bad. So we'll do VT comma, which selects up to the comma, right? V to comma. And we do Y. So that's now in my yank ring. Y is for yank. It's not for copy, it's for yank, because that's what it is. Okay, and I'm like, hey, that little sentence stub needs to be down here. So I get where I want it to be, and I hit P for paste. Yank and paste. Yeah, the reason that yank is a little bit strange, though, is normally if you are used to using visual text editor where you actually use your mouse and you select things, when you delete something, it's just gone, right? But if I go up here and I delete this line, I can now paste that line. Deleted things go into your yank ring as well. So you got to be careful not to yank something, delete something, and then try to paste the thing you wanted that you yanked, because the thing you deleted is now there. So, and there's no way of getting it back. There's a very common, really good plugin for this called Yank Ring that makes that a lot nicer, but we're not talking about plugins tonight. Yeah. Okay, so copy and paste. Y for yank, P for paste. Right? And then deleting, or I think the C, the change will actually put it into the yank ring as well. I don't remember. Kyle's nodding yes, so I'm going to assume it is. I saw another question. Yes?
Can you show us a little bit about your workflow for
Working
working with diffs?
with what? With diffs. I don't work with diffs. Yeah, I don't really do that. Most of my merging, patching, stuff like that would be done through GitHub or Kaleidoscope, some sort of visual diff tool. I've either never learned or never found a way that actually made sense to me for working with diffs in Vim. There is Vim diff, which is supposed to be pretty good, and it's doing diffs in Vim, where you can select lines that you want to move from one side to the other. That's where I'm at on that one. It exists. Google can probably tell you a lot more, or the man pages for Vim diff. Yes?
Can you show how to go to a specific line number?
Sure.
The top and bottom of the file?
Sure. So Shift-G goes to the bottom. GG goes to the top. I don't have a good mnemonic on those. They're just there. So I have line numbers turned on. They're not on by default. I have line numbers turned on. So I want to go to line 21. So I can type :21 and move to there. One thing that's nice about having the line numbers, I don't like lines 23 through 26. Those are pointless lines. :23, 26. So 23 to 26. D. Gone. That'll work with yank as well. So I need to copy this little block. Tell me the line numbers, put in Y. Now it's in my yank ring. I can go paste it somewhere else, which is pretty handy. Yes?
Include the end line? Like, or does it stop at 26, or does it go through 26?
So let's put something on 26. All right. So 26 is gone. So it includes the final line. Yes, it's inclusive. Yeah. Yeah, you'll also, as you use Vim more, you'll start typing :W into every file you ever edit in any other text editor. So every text editor you use will be filled with :W and :Q. Or $WQ for write and quit, because you can add those together. And you'll do that a lot. All right. Anybody else? Yeah.
Could you please share with us how to create new tabs and also split windows and navigate between them?
Sure. So one of the, at least I think I can remember all those off the top of my head. Tabs are weird in Vim. Vim has this idea of being able to open multiple tabs. And you can also split we'll call them windows. You can split a window. The way it's supposed to work, and what most people don't do, is tabs are meant for different splits of the same files. Most people do a tab per file, which is kind of weird, to me at least. I can do tab edit file.txt, and now I've got 2 tabs. Tab next. Haha. There's also tab completion in Vim, so if you don't remember what the command is, you just keep hitting tab for a little bit. So tab next, I think tab prev will move back and forth between the tabs. Tab edit opens a file into a new tab.
GT goes to the next tab.
GT. Hey, look at that. So yeah, GT. I don't use tabs all that often. What I normally do is splits. So let's open up file.txt here. So I have 2 windows, sort of. My one window is now split in half, and I've got 2 different files being shown. But it doesn't have to be 2 different files. That's why we refer to these as being buffers, because on the top one, I'm looking at more or less the middle of the file, and on the bottom one, I'm looking at the top of the file. It's the exact same file. It's just 2 different views to the same file. So I've buffered this part, and I've buffered that part. So that was :WS for sideways. Again, don't have a good mnemonic. Control-WV splits it vertically. That one makes sense. Vertical. Why isn't it H instead of S? Right? For horizontal. So you can open as many of these things as you want. Eventually they become unreadable, but you can open as many as you want. And Control-WW will move you to the next one in the chain. You can also do WK to move like up, J to move down, H and L to move left and right, if you want to. Ideally, you just turn on like mouse mode, and then you can click on the one you want, because who has time to page between them all? And you'll notice I'm doing :Q to quit the buffer, and it doesn't actually quit Vim, it just quits the buffer. So really, when you're quitting Vim, you're just quitting that last buffer, and Vim goes, oh, I don't have any buffers. All right, I guess I'll go away. More than that's way too far into what Vim's thinking. Okay, so tabs, splitting, we got that. Yes? Comment a block? Not built in. You get a plugin for that. But, okay, I said you get a plugin. You don't have to have a plugin, though. Let's talk about something that every editor since Vim has ripped off from Vim. If I do Control-V, I'm not in visual mode, I'm in visual block mode. So I can come down all these lines, and they're selected. Let's go back up one. And we talked about I inserts after the cursor. If I want to insert before the cursor, I do Shift-I, and then I can type in whatever my thing is. I hit escape to get out of visual mode, and all my lines now have that thing I did. I can type whatever I want. So if I need to add var in front of a bunch of lines in my JavaScript file, select all the lines, Shift-I, var, escape, done. Now I've got var on all of them. Yes?
Some text editor or
So Vim by default is just a text editor. Like, it types let characters in, it puts in spaces, tabs, whatever you tell it to. In your vimrc file, which is the file that controls how Vim works, you can specify either global things you want it to do, like I want it to always insert spaces instead of tabs, right? Or you can tell it if the file is of this extension or if the file is of this file type, because Vim can more or less tell what files are. It gets a little weird with Markdown, thinking they're like modulo files or something. But anyway, you can be like, hey, if this is an ActionScript file, then always use tabs instead of spaces. Or if this is a Python file, always put a ruler at character 80, that kind of thing. And then a lot of plugins are specific to a file type. So you'll find like PHP plugins that give you a lot of handy functions for PHP in Vim. Like it'll be able to find test files and run tests for you. Or it'll be able to syntax highlight PHP so it looks nice. Because you notice there's no syntax highlighting here at all. So yeah, a lot of that comes down to customization after the fact. Vim out of the box should edit those fine because Vim's been around longer than either of those things. So I'd be very surprised if Vim didn't work well for them.